Desperate times call for desperate measures as Nigeria continues to grapple with the challenge of feeding its growing population. A sustainable agric production and food security coach, Saidat Shonoiki, has recommended family farming and organic agriculture as the ways out. Now, speaking during a two-day workshop in Abuja with the team, the principles and practice of organic agriculture, Shonoiki urged Nigerians to return to their old but ever-relevant strategy of growing their own food in small gardens to promote food security and healthy food consumption. Senator Remi Tinubu said something like this some weeks back.
Yes, you know, in my interview with the governor of Sokoto of Kogi State, he said his wife suddenly started a garden in their backyard, and he asked her what's going on. And that she said, oh, our mommy, the first lady of Nigeria, has demanded that all of us must have a garden. Each of us must have a garden. And that she does not want Senator Oluremi Tinubu to pay a sudden visit to her and discover that she didn't have a garden. So the First Lady of Kogi State, Mrs. Ododo, already has a garden at the back of her home. Some of us have adopted that, and we even want to take it a little further. I've seen people say, oh, how about those who do not have space?
Space, yeah.
Of course, no one is saying everyone must have a garden. It is not practicable for everyone to have a garden.
Might not have the...
But I gave an example. The people who have and who do not think that it makes sense to have, the people who have the capacity, you know, to run a small garden, who think that it does not make any sense, they are the ones that we are referring to. We are not saying everybody go and do a garden. It's not practicable. For example, as the son of a king in my community, I have access to land.
So
but yet I didn't do any farm in my community. But my younger brother did a farm, grew cassava, grew yam, and from the yam that was harvested, my mother sent to each of us her children from our own brother's sweat. We didn't give him money. We didn't take it upon ourselves to also go and do our own farm. And we have land, but somebody did it. He didn't do it in commercial quantity. But our mommy...
Just for the family.
Our mommy then took from the harvest and sent to each and every one of us. So this is what... If you will plant maybe 600 tubers of yam, for example, if he does that, at the end of the day, you can, and a lot more people do that. There's no way
out of every 10.
There's no way we won't be doing our best to defeat food insecurity. And then she's also saying, look, instead of the chemical fertilizers that we are all familiar with, organic fertilizers, organic manures, they are best. You have cow dung, for example, is fantastic fertilizer. Horse dung. In fact, a lot of people now use horse dung to fertilize their crops. One, it doesn't smell. Horse dung doesn't smell. What is it called? Chicken dung smells. That of cow smells. But that of horse does not smell at all. So a lot of people, that's what they use in planting flowers in their homes. And it's also good for other crops because I've used it for my pepper, for my tomatoes within my yard. So if we all commit to promoting agriculture. Even within your home, you'll be able to eat fresh vegetables, pluck your okra and eat. That will reduce the rate of hunger in the country, because if we embark on massive agri-production, it will definitely bring down prices. That is what the expert is saying. Of course, the other angle is the adoption of family planning. Every sensible person should know that at this stage, it is not a clarion call to go and be
football team
and be raising football teams within your home.
School fees.
At the rate we are going.
There
was somebody that I was talking to. Some of these people who are still struggling, they still hustle for money. And then you went and had a fourth child. I said, what is wrong with you? Come on, stop it now. What is the meaning of this? You cannot, you do not even have enough money to raise two of them.
To sustain
two, and you have four. So she doesn't even need to tell us that, look, food security, one of the ways by which we can address it is to reduce the rate at which we are procreating. They said we are going to be 250 million or so. Is it 300 million by the year 2050?
Somebody, 300 million because you are more than 200
so we just have to do something about it. It's interesting. In Russia, they are paying people to have children. They are paying them. In France, they are paying couples.
They adopted that in China to control their population.
In our own case, no, I'm saying that they give them money.
Yes, because they've controlled it.
You know, population also helps with economic growth. So they give them money. Please have children. In Russia, in France, please have children. Because some people, some couple, they get married, they tell themselves we won't have any child.
Yeah, well,
and they will stick to it. So they are now saying, okay, in our own case, we really have to do something about it, because the population is overstretching the resources available.
Honestly.
We cannot continue along. We won't be able to feed our people if we continue along this line.
Femi, it's been difficult to control, to conduct a population census.
Yeah.
But right now, we know that there's problem.
Yeah.
We're stretched.
We're stretched. I know.
Population is...
Yes, and then food, again, is that very important thing that we need to keep going. Like we're talking about the First Lady's project, which is one home, a garden. You know, she believes that with subsistence farming, everyone will be able to, you know, just get the basic food items, especially vegetables and some other food items that you need to just feed. You know, and she wants women now to drive this initiative of ensuring that with that little garden in their house, they can get just some basic things that they need to prepare meals to put on the table to eat. It already has a 25 million Naira prize competition, and we hear that a lot of women are already showing interest in these. A lot of them are behind their houses now, you know, bending down to farm and doing videos, sending into making entries for that competition to win the 25 million. But beyond, you know, beyond the money, at the end of the day, you know, it's a practice that should be cultivated by everyone. You know, the government has been hard on ensuring that, you know, we grow what we eat, and by the time we begin to grow what we eat, we won't be at the mercies of the traders in the market who have formed an association and raised or fixed prices of food at a very exorbitant rate out of the reach of the common man. By the time you're not at their mercy, they too will be forced to crash these food prices. So it's going to go a long way in helping reduce the rising food inflation and also help fight food security or food insecurity.
Julian, another problem we are faced with is that a lot of Nigerians, maybe some Nigerians, most Nigerians down south, who believe that it's all about going to university and after school looking for a white-collar job. The orientation is not there yet that, look, farming is something that we can take up, and our youth should be encouraged to say, look, I want to be a farmer.
It's the government that I'll blame for this. If we make agri-production attractive to young people, of course they are going to take to it. especially in this season of rampant unemployment. But if you have made it unattractive, then the farming population will continue to age. What we have now is an aging farming population
because
people who are above, who are below 60.
Yeah,
they are really not interested in farming.
Young people don't want to.
Except in the North Central, a good number of people farming are women, and even those ones too are aging. When I went to Jos and I did the documentary on Irish potato farming, I saw that it was the women that were actually involved. Men were not interested. And those women said they've been farming for more than 20 years. That means they are not young anymore. So if you embrace mechanized farming, you say, okay, we want to cultivate 600 hectares of land, for example. You help tractorize their feeds. You provide good varieties of seedlings, high yield seedlings. You provide fertilizers. There's no way young people will not want to get involved. You can't continue to farm in the way that we farm, using hoes and all that. These days, you must tractorize feeds. You must get harvesters. Harvesters, all kinds of harvesters that will do in one day what some people will do in 30 days.
Commercial.
So if you will do all of that, honestly, I'm sure that young people will come in. I want to see that experiment implemented in Niger State, for example, one of the states that is really leading in the area of agriculture now. The governor has shown that he's focused. So, but he too needs to freshen up the population of farmers with younger people, get them involved, give them incentives, let them realize that we can't all be white collar, we can't all be doing white collar jobs, and government cannot employ everybody
at all.
Farming is still the highest employer of labor in Nigeria, and it still gives the highest GDP. It still contributes the highest GDP. So we must embrace farming. Before we started making so much money from oil in the 60s, it was farming that was giving us all the money. Awolowo did all of what he did with money from cash crops. So where did we go wrong that now we cannot, if we do not see oil, it's oil that we are talking about, we are almost beating ourselves up over Dangote, no, we have to go back to the past. Where did we get it wrong? And really we have to go back to farming.
Femi, to make this attractive, government must do something.
Yes, indeed. It's a big problem because the farming population we have in Nigeria, they are aging. I remember doing a story on cocoa farmers in Ondo State. Yes, if you go to some of the associations and you see the cocoa farmers, they are old men. Some of them are even in their 70s, and there are no
children are not.
There's no succession plan now. The children are
going to the urban centers.
Some of them have moved out of these farming communities to the urban centers. Some of them have even jackpot. Some of them have left the country. So it means that, before, when we used to be a big producer of cocoa, we have even lost that status as a major cocoa producer, and it might get worse in a few years' time. It might get really worse. So it's about putting incentives, in place to encourage young people to come into farming. And yes, we study agriculture in school, but it appears as if it's just the theory. Most of the agriculture students in school don't even really get to the farm, don't even really get their hands on some of these farm implements and understand farm.
You are just the degree that you are looking for.
Yes, it's just
they don't practice it.
Just to get the job and move on and get a better and get another life different from what is obtainable on the farmland. So it's really something that I'm very serious to get young people interested in farming. How the government will do that, well, it remains to be seen, but I think it's something that should be prioritized.
All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back after this breather.